So we've set up the day so that now that we've set sort of a baseline for knowledge and some of the contours of the industry, we can hear from 3 different food and beverage brands that are deploying cannabis or hemp as part of their businesses. The first team we're going to hear from comes from Evo Hemp. Now, this is a company that staked out a claim to the hemp-as-ingredient space very early on, way downstream from the rest of the industry. And since then, it's almost been a waiting game for them, as the founders have been kind of nervously, kind of patiently awaiting the rest of the country to catch up to their ideas. Now we're going to have Jourdan, Samel, and Sherman join us to talk about how things are at Evo Hemp now that CBD has become a much more common ingredient and what the opportunities are that that's opened up for them. So please welcome Jourdan and Ari, the co-founders of Evo Hemp.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us here. My name is Ari Sherman. This is my business partner here, Jourdan Samel.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah, so Jourdan and I first kind of got into the hemp/cannabis space around 2012. Both of us were college roommates, at the University of Denver. Colorado was rapidly growing its cannabis industry. Medical marijuana was well on its way, and recreational cannabis was coming very shortly. And so Jourdan and I kind of looked at the industry and thought, there's actually a much broader, potentially wider space to get into, and that's the industrial hemp space. Everyone was trying to figure out, where do they fit in the cannabis industry. We had a friend with a hemp clothing company and really saw industrial hemp as a really great way to revitalize our rural economies. Both very educated on cannabinoids and terpenes and their benefits, but really didn't feel that the market was quite ready in 2012 to put in CBD products in the grocery stores, which was the main channel we wanted to enter into. So first, we really wanted to focus on the nutritional aspects of the hemp seeds. Really one of the best plant-based sources of protein out there. It was actually my mom, who's a nurse and a nutritionist, who actually pushed us towards the hemp food space. And really, Jourdan and I kind of went home in our kitchen and was really kind of blown away that hemp is the most nutrient-dense food source in the world. The body can literally survive off of eating hemp seeds and drinking water. It has all the essential amino acids, essential fatty acids needed for human survival. So really the first thing we thought was this would be a great product inside of a nutrition bar. Since hemp seeds are nutrient-dense source of plant-based protein and other minerals, that's kind of what an energy bar is going after. You're trying to get a lot of protein and other minerals in a small package. So that's when we decided to launch the Evo Hemp Bar.
Yeah, so like Ari mentioned, our first product line was our fruit and nut bars. We thought it translated really well from the hemp seed. Again, a lot of nutrients in a little bite. What better way to kind of display that into a nutrition bar where that's really the same concept? So we came out with our fruit and nut bars, really clean product. It's just organic fruits, nuts, hemp seeds with a little bit of raw coconut oil, nectar. And we got a great start at Lucky's Market. It was strictly a Boulder company at the time. Since then, they've moved to about 40 stores, and that was really where we got our beginning.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, when we first launched this product in 2012, essentially there was 0 acres of industrial hemp being grown in the United States for food. So we had to work with our local legislators, specifically Jared Polis, on trying to get laws passed so that this was going to be able to be a domestic industry. Spent a few years going back and forth to Washington, D.C., trying to educate senators and Congress and their staff and really just try to get them to sample the products. And believe it or not, in 2013, 2013 when we were there, they still had Kansas state law enforcement petitioning outside of the Capitol Hill, trying to convince senators and their staff as they're walking into this convention that cannabis and hemp specifically should remain illegal because they would not be able to tell the difference between a marijuana plant and a hemp plant, which is obviously ridiculous. We were one of the only industrialized nations that did not allow industrial hemp farming, and people like China and many other countries had no problem regulating those industries. So luckily, in 2014, when that farm bill did pass, we were able to start sourcing all of our seeds domestically, specifically at first in Colorado. So working with local farmers there to launch the first U.S. supply of hemp food ingredients.
Yeah, and so we launched with our U.S. hemp foods. The first 3 products we launched were hemp hearts, hemp protein, and hemp seed oil. We focused on these items not only because they're what customers are most familiar with in the marketplace, but also they require the most hemp for us to use in order to produce those products. And what that allowed us to do was really prove to the farmers that this is a real industry, shows the volume that it could generate, and with that, they felt confident in producing for the following years. So we've been working with them for about 3 years on a national scale, and we've been finding great responses from our retailers. It's even in TJX nationally, Ross nationally. So a lot of very conventional stores that wouldn't even carry food necessarily have really gotten behind us, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, and obviously one of the biggest challenges that we've faced starting a hemp brand is trying to get the message out there and get people to be aware of even the products or the brands or their benefits. Traditionally, a brand in our space, what they would do is they'd go to digital marketing. They'd go on Facebook, they'd go on Instagram, they'd use search engines like Bing and Google to run Google AdWords against their category and their products. Well, because we're selling a hemp food product, that was not an option for us. I spent many times going back and forth with Facebook trying to convince them that I'm selling hemp foods into places like Whole Foods Market and Costco, and they should allow this product to be advertised on their platform because essentially it's being sold in all of these grocery stores, and we are probably the only category in the entire grocery store that can't use these type of advertising platforms. I finally got off on the phone with one of the Facebook ad reps, and she misinformedly said, oh, well, hemp is illegal in most countries, and so since we're a global business, we need to create a global policy, and I quickly informed her that no, actually, that hemp food products are legal in almost every country in the entire world. And, she said that also was kind of strange that if it was a hemp clothing or a hemp body care product, I could advertise that. But since it was an orally ingestible hemp product, that was against their policy, which is ridiculous. And then even more hypocritical, if I was, say, Thrive Market or Whole Foods or a large retailer, I would be allowed to advertise these hemp products. Because I'd see our competitors' hemp products being advertised on Facebook via Thrive and Whole Foods. And I mentioned that to her, and she said, well, since the majority of their products are not hemp-based, we allow them to advertise those hemp products, which is ridiculous. So we, really spend a lot of time focusing on creating our own original content, really trying to make a lot of educational stuff to get it pushed organically. And then, one of our big missions was really trying to bring, high-paying agricultural jobs to these very poor rural communities. This was around 2017, and we finally started seeing the retail landscape change and the kind of the public perception around cannabinoids and CBD kind of shift. And we were getting approached by retailers like Lucky's Market and, small independents like Alfalfa saying, hey, we love your brand, we love your products, why don't you guys have a CBD product for us? Like, we really want to, promote your CBD brands. And then right around that time, we were approached by a gentleman named Alex Whiteplume, who's a Native American from the Pine Ridge Reservation. Alex was actually the first person to cultivate industrial hemp since World War II. Back in 1998, Alex, working with the Lakota tribe out of South Dakota, legalized industrial hemp on their sovereign land. The DEA didn't really agree with this sovereign status and raided their 2-acre family farm with helicopters and machine guns. And they were just trying to grow for fiber. They were going to sell it to a clothing company. But long story short, they put an injunction on Alex and his family, threatening to put them in prison. And it took about almost 2 decades and a very long legal battle funded by the Hemp Industry Association and great brands like Dr. Bronner's to get this injunction lifted. After that 2014 Farm Bill passed, it was finally lifted, and Alex was able to start cultivating industrial hemp again. So we started working with Alex on a line of CBD products, tinctures and soft gels, really because it's one of the most high value added parts of the crop. It's a really important mission for us. They have about an 85% unemployment rate on the reservation when there's 40,000 of them that live up there. The average adult male lifespan is only 55 years old. So trying to bring jobs and food and medicine is really vital for this community.
Yeah, and so like already mentioned, this year is really our breakout year for CBD products. We were really noticing that consumer perceptions were changing and retailers were starting to become aware of what CBD was, and they were less confused about the THC versus CBD, which was always a concern of ours. We didn't want them to kick us out for misunderstanding what we're offering. And so this year we launched our soft gels as well as our tinctures. And with that, we've just noticed it booming way faster than we could have ever imagined. And with that, we are launching an entire line of infused products this year. So not only are we going to have the lotions and the balms, but we are also launching infused everything. So pretty much everything that we offer currently, you're going to see a version of CBD infused products as well. And until traditional grocery stores really understand the differences between hemp and CBD, we're going to offer both products side by side so that we can, offer hemp when they're not allowing CBD as of right now and offer CBD when they will allow it. Ultimately, we do think that over, the next 2 to 3 years, the CBD products will probably take over the hemp because effectively it's the same thing. It's just we're highlighting a specific ingredient in it.
Yeah, we really kind of saw that the CBD in itself was kind of becoming that next fortified ingredient in other food and beverage products. Very similar to other categories. I always refer to milk, where it was just milk, and then it was vitamin D milk, and then it was omega-3 milk, and very soon we're going to be seeing a CBD milk on the market, just because it really kind of highlights the other benefits that product offers.
Yeah, and again, being in the food industry and kind of setting ourselves as the hemp company among retailers and other brands. It's been a really interesting experience. We've had a number of companies see CBD as something that's really booming, and they are just coming up to us, asking us if we can help them infuse their products, how we can advise them, and it's been a really great opportunity because we can really help them not only with our proprietary blends that we've been working on water-soluble products, but we can really aid them on having companies and suppliers with GMP practices, because a lot of the CBD companies they've been talking to and working with just don't understand how to work with traditional food companies that have a lot of standards and requirements in order to sell into these retailers.
Yeah, going off on the retailer part, there's always this concern with new and emerging markets of supply chain and safety and quality and tracking. So a lot of these retailers and manufacturers are looking towards us to kind of help them with these, quality practices, and really looking at it as kind of the Evo Hemp quality seal of approval, so that it is that trusted name with their customers and specifically also with the retail buyers, so that they know that, okay, you're sourcing your products from very reputable people, but not only that is that there's a really great mission behind it, and it's supporting a community that's desperately in need. And so to that point, really trying to vertically integrate ourselves to really increase that brand positioning. So we're kind of touching on 3 major, pieces of this vertical integration, starting with the genetics aspect of it. So we've partnered up with a genetics company called Sunrise Genetics out of Colorado that, about a year ago mapped the entire genome of the hemp plant and are now working on identifying those precursors to increase increase certain cannabinoids like CBN and CBG, and maybe dial in certain terpenes to give you a specific effect. Because I do really see that the industry is going towards functional-based CBD products, and not only using these functional-based CBD products from how the other ingredients you're incorporating into it, but starting at the genetic side of things. Like we can create a plant that is actually going to give somebody a higher energy and more focus based on the terpene profile, or if we need something that needs to help somebody with sleep, that we can through traditional plant breeding, identify these cursors that are increasing things like CBN and CBG and are going to increase terpenes that help with restfulness. And then all the way from our farming practices, really working with other Native American tribes. So we've got about 3 different Native American reservations that we're working with and really helping them on, how can they get their own pilot program set up and get the genetics. And then all the way down to the extraction technologies, like Jourdan was mentioning, really working with our own in-house chemists and our own team to create, superior products that are going to be great for water dispersing and solubility, and different type of distillates that are flavorless that'll be great for incorporating into other salty snack-based products. And then, really trying to get that innovation and get the innovation right. Because obviously there's so many different applications that you can put in with CBD and THC, so many different products. Like I mentioned before, every single category is going to be disrupted by cannabis, but what's really the best direction, what makes the most sense. So we're actually about in another week or so launching our own small retail store in Boulder, Colorado called the Real Hemp Store. That's going to be kind of an R&D lab for us. So we have a commercial kitchen attached to it where we'll be doing a lot of rapid prototyping and testing out a lot of these new products, whether that's a beverage or a snack product, and getting quick customer feedback, either direct on the retail store, but we'll also be selling this on our e-commerce platform at evohemp.com. And then also, looking into the future and getting things kind of dialed in and prepped and ready for when the regulations do change, not only here in the United States, but throughout the world. So, for example, we just started selling our hemp bars in Australia because Australia was one of the last countries just about a year ago to legalize hemp food for human consumption, and still no CBD yet, but we do see that in the next year or so. Same with a lot of these Asian markets. We do see a tremendous amount of growth happening over in Asia. Right now we're working with the Thai government on how that they can start using CBD into some of their other products that they are, exporting out of their country, specifically coconut products, coconut waters and oils and chips, and how can they use CBD to increase that spend.
And for us, it's always the bigger picture of making sure that we can continue to scale the business in a sustainable way. So we have partners across the country, all the way from Kentucky to Seattle, that are farming with us. And like Ari mentioned, we have about 3 tribes that we're working with on programs to really help them economically as well. And one of the big things for us regarding scalability is with this, we want to ensure that we are working with farmers that are really focused on giving a quality product that's going to be very clean and really be both food and medicine to the customer. Especially right now with so many different CBD companies just popping out of nowhere, not really many people know where it's coming from, what it's extracted with, and that's a huge concern that everyone should be focused on because just because it's called CBD doesn't mean that it's medicine and not that it's clean either. And so that's something that we've taken a big stance on. Everything that we create, you can click on our QR code, see all the traceability from farm all the way to the finished product. And we just hope that as the industry grows, that's what other brands are going to continue to do as well.
Yeah, we've really been talking with a lot of major retailers and distributors. They kind of reach out to us when they're looking into carrying CBD products, whether that's UNFI and KeHE and Whole Foods Market, going and traveling and meeting with their teams and kind of just educating them on these benefits. The first question that usually we get is, okay, is this scalable? Is there going to be enough supply? So that's always a major concern. And really, from there, really trying to take that business and kind of complete our mission working with the Native American tribes. Because when we got into this space, we saw it as a broader market because there's more applications than just a medical or recreational drug. So really taking that to the next level by bringing processing plants up into the Pine Ridge Reservation to process hemp hearts and mill protein powders and pressed seed oils, all the way to processing cannabinoids so that they can, process their own CBD and terpenes. And then the last piece, which I'm most excited about, is actually the building materials. The stalks and everything you can use and turn into a hempcrete, which is a great resource for building homes. Right now, they all live in trailers that are falling apart. And so we're really excited about bringing the whole thing full circle and creating a sustainable market for the Native American community. And that's about it.
So we have time for a few questions. As I make my way over, I'm going to start. Brands need money. What's that fundraising process been like for you?
It's always been a challenge because, we're not quite a cannabis company and we're not quite a food company. We kind of sit in this middle ground where, investors that are traditional food investors, look at us and they're like, oh, well, that's kind of a little risky because you got this hemp thing going on and you can't advertise on certain platforms. But then cannabis investors look at us and they're like, well, where are these gigantic margins? Like, you're working off of these small, natural grocery, food margins. We're used to seeing something that's twice as much. So it's always been a challenge on trying to convey like who we are and, how to go about that.
And to Ari's point, though, it's been really interesting where it was much more of a challenge and a struggle in past years. This year, because CBD and cannabis as a whole is just booming, we probably, for the first time, have investors just knocking on our doors versus us, reaching out as much as possible with limited results. So it's really interesting to see that shift.
Quick question here.
Hi guys, thanks. Hey, any thoughts about doing a certified organic product?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently our hemp food-based products are certified organic. We use a group out of Nebraska called OneCert on that. And we are working on getting that organic label on the CBD products as well. It is all grown organically. The only other ingredient is organic hemp seed oil. So right now we're working with OneCert actually currently on getting that USDA organic seal on the CBD products as well.
Quick question about your chief cost centers, having been working in hemp for so long.
Not sure I understand the question.
What are your cost centers? Your biggest cost centers, and how are they comparing with other food and beverage brands?
For us, in food and beverage, the thing is, like Ari was mentioning, very, very slim margins. When you're selling it to to the grocery stores, it goes to the distributor and then to the grocery store. All of them mark it up far more than we do. And so one of the biggest things is just making sure that we can offer a product that's going to be high quality, still at a reasonable price by the time it gets to the customer.
Yeah, I was also just going to mention real quick that, when we did come into this space, we saw an opportunity to try to make these products a lot more affordable for the consumer. So, frankly, we take a much, much smaller margin than our competitors do because we come from trying to sell a $2 fruit and nut bar into grocery stores competing with, major brands like Calif bar. So we're used to taking very small margins on our products, and we kind of take a very similar stance when we launched into the CBD space.
Have a quick question back here.
What about online sales of CBD products?
So for us, online sales of CBD has definitely been kind of our stronghold. Right now, because retailers are kind of iffy about carrying CBD, it can mainly be found at natural independent stores, recreational cannabis stores, and other than that, a few chains here and there. Customers really know that they can find it online. And so since introducing CBD onto our websites, our sales online have grown into the thousands of percents.
Yeah, there's about 70% of all CBD sales today are done online, I believe. Our business traditionally has been, brick and mortar grocery retail, and just within the last year or so since we launched the CBD products was e-commerce has become a major focus for us, and it continues to be a major driver of our business, and I think it's going to continue to grow so. But as more mainstream grocery retailers like the Whole Foods of the world start to carry these items, we do see that that's going to be a smaller percentage of products done online as consumers are going to be able to get them at their local grocery stores.
One last question.
Hi there. I just have a quick question about your traceability codes. I wondered why you put them on the label and whether consumers are actually scanning and following through on the.
So it really began with Indiana when they kind of outlawed CBD for a limited period of time. In bringing it back into becoming legal, that was one of the requirements. And so for us, we want to make sure that we're legal in as many states as possible. But additionally, we thought that that was a great concept for customers to learn about where it's coming from. And so with that, we just figured, we want to make sure we're as transparent as possible, and we want to kind of do that across all products.
Yeah, it was interesting. Once that law passed and we had to, actually we were forced to put that QR code on there, I started noticing that actually a lot of supplements, and specifically in tinctures and stuff like that, do have those QR codes and that traceability on there. And I think it's a great thing, and we will have it on all of our products. And not only that, but going in the future on, using audio to kind of help with that transparency.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for all this time.
Thank you.
You guys are pioneers.
Thanks so much.